Welcome to the Marvelous Moms Club podcast. Discover yourself, break out of mediocrity, and become the mom you've always aspired to be. Here's your host, Kirsten Tyrell.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. I know you guys are excited for another new one. You're going to hear the reason that I actually have new episodes lately, and it's because I got my sister to start editing and posting and sharing all of these fabulous episodes with my guests, and she's my guest today. I'm so excited. So welcome to my podcast, Ashlee.
Thanks. Hi.
She's nervous. I'm not nervous. I'm just like, this is so weird to actually interview somebody that I'm related to. It would be weirder if you were sitting next to me. I think it would make me more nervous.
Yeah.
But Ashlee has gotten to listen to a whole bunch of our episodes, and she's a marvelous mom. And I don't know why I haven't thought to do this sooner. I'm probably going to do another episode with my other sister who has a child because she's a mom as well. I think it'd be really fun to talk about like sisters and how we parent differently and all that stuff. But today's episode is all about Ashlee, which I'm excited for. So tell everybody how old your little boy is.
He's going to be 7 months old any day now.
Oh my gosh. He's the cutest baby. You can follow her on Instagram. He's got the deepest, most beautiful dimples. He was born, and that was the first thing we were all just like, where did those dimples come from? He's so cute. He's the light of my children's life. They beg me for more babies because Finn is so cute.
Yeah, he's got everybody wrapped around his finger.
Yep, including you as his mommy.
Yep.
So tell everybody, in addition to being a mom, what you're up to right now.
Right now, I am actually doing a Kickstarter campaign because I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've made an album before, but it's been over 4 years, and so I'm trying to crowdfund so that I can make another one.
Which is awesome. So we've had other guests on here who have done Kickstarters, and so I've learned a little bit about it because of that. But what I don't think people fully understand is it's not just like a donation account that doesn't do anything for them, even for donating. It's kind of just like going things backwards, right? Like they're buying your album before you've made it.
Yeah. So it's called Kickstarter because people are basically investing in me. They're kickstarting me. So people make a pledge and they can pick an amount with a corresponding reward that I've already set up. And they will most likely get my album once it's finished, if they choose $10 or more, which is basically the price they would spend to get it anyways when it's done. And so, if I get enough people to pledge and I reach my goal at the end of the 30 days, then I get the funds, and then I'm responsible to create the project that I promised to. And it's all or nothing, so if I don't reach my goal, then I don't get anything.
So it's important that you reach your goal.
Yep.
But I'm so proud of you because you've already gotten so close in such a short amount of time. And I don't think that we sometimes give much. We don't expect people to support us as much as they actually end up supporting us, right? Like we just think nobody's really going to care, but they do. And what's cool is that there's so few people. It feels like we're all so busy, but there's so few people who actually put themselves out there to do something creative or something brave like you have. And I think that's the best part about it. Like, that I love pushing everybody outside of their comfort zone and making them do hard things. And I don't feel like I even had to push you. This is just, what do you feel like was your biggest driving force because you wanted to hurry and get your album done before you even had your baby, but you realized, okay, there's still going to be life after motherhood, which is like a whole other topic we'll get into. But what was kind of like the thing that pushed you over the edge with wanting to make another album?
So I just realized that I kind of owed it to myself and to the people who have supported me over the years to try to create something new and to not just remain stagnant in my life with my talents. It's important to always be trying to better ourselves. And there's a huge sense of fulfillment that comes when we create something. And, being able to share it with other people is just amazing too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And don't you feel like after... Because I guess we'll go right into that topic. Like when you're about to become a mom, you just think, okay, this is it. Like now I'm going to be a mom and I don't have anything else. Like I'm not going to have any other interests. I'm not going to have time to do anything. And that's not really true, right? Like if anything, don't you feel like it was because you had a baby and now you realize what you're capable of that you also want to do and be other things besides just mom?
Yeah, I mean, I also owe it to him. So when he's older, then he can see that I worked hard to do things. And I didn't just become stagnant. Like I said, I mean, when you first have your baby, everything's crazy, and trying to adjust to a new schedule, you think that you'll never be able to do anything other than just sit at home in your pajamas. But we all, in our own time get used to it, and we develop a routine, and we kind of get into the swing of things, and everything gets easier.
Yeah. Do you feel like even just singing and music gives you a different level of fulfillment in your life too?
Yeah, I mean, motherhood is definitely the biggest one, and I would choose that a million times over anything else. But, to be a good mom, one of the things you have to do is work on yourself as well. You have to make sure that, you're doing things to make yourself happy and to better yourself, because otherwise, how can you be a good example to your child?
Mm-hmm. I know, and I feel like it's sad because I think there's the whole generation that went by where everybody wanted to put 100% stock into their kids, and they felt like if they did anything else, it was going to make them a terrible parent, or their kids were going to suffer because they were outside of the home for any reason. And like, I'm learning more and more, there's no right or wrong way. Everybody has to do things differently, and everybody's dynamic is going to look so different. But I haven't seen, like, my friends who grew up with working parents or parents who are entrepreneurs, I haven't seen any disconnect in the way that they're raised. If anything, they're raised to be a lot more responsible and a lot more empowered and take control of their lives. But then I also see like how we were raised, where our mom put like everything into raising us, and she really didn't pursue or feel the need to pursue anything else. Like, she loved 100% being a mom. And I think that has gotten us really far too, because it gave us self-esteem. It gave us like this comfort to know that was like our home, that was like our safe place. And also, like, I've kind of shared this with Ben. For me, I don't know that I could be doing what I'm doing in my life and in my business and stuff if I didn't grow up with that, like, support system and that cheerleader, because no matter what, Mom thinks we're, like, the best people in the whole world. Like, we can do no wrong.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, there's really no perfect formula, but there was that whole generation where, like, that's all they did, and they felt like that was the best thing. And it was probably for us, like, really good for us. But then after we're gone, they lose that sense of, like, who am I outside of being a mom? And so it's, like, a good example for your kids to let them watch you follow your dreams, even if that dream is, like, being an amazing mom. But it's also, like, important that you're finding other ways to nurture your soul and who you are, because eventually they grow up. We only have them for 18 years or ish. I don't know. If you're like our mom, you end up with us for like 30 years.
Sorry, Mom. Sort of.
We're almost all out of the house for good. Yeah. Almost. We're getting there. So I think it's important too. This is a big reason I wanted you to share as well on the podcast, because I've had people on here talking about postpartum depression and anxiety, but I think it's important to talk about that because you're so fresh out of it. Like you said, Finn's almost 7 months old. And you had a really, really hard time when he was born. So share a little bit about that and how, like, you didn't expect that. Nobody ever expects that to be their circumstance after they have a baby. But if you want to share a little bit of that backstory.
Just a little bit, huh?
Yeah. Or as much as you want.
Just kidding.
Tell them all the
details.
details.
A huge story. Well, yeah, I mean, everybody knows that life is going to be hard when you have a baby. It's one of the hugest things that any woman goes through. And it's hard for everybody, no matter what or how it turns out. And like I said, I knew it would be hard. And I was so nervous about the whole thing. I've always been scared of having a baby. But yeah, my world completely spun out of control. Not a lot of people know that I have dealt with anxiety before. And I was actually on medication for it before. And then halfway through my pregnancy, I told my doctor that I wanted to wean off of it because I was worried it was going to affect my baby. And I'll never know whether or not that was a good choice or not, because I'll never know what would have happened if I hadn't. But as soon as, Finn was born, well, everything was hard. First of all, I went 11 days past my due date before I finally gave in and was induced. And I didn't want to do that, but I did. And then I had an all-day labor that eventually ended in an unplanned C-section, and that was completely traumatizing. I mean, it would be for anybody. Mm-hmm. It was just awful, shaking, crying, feeling nauseated, and then the pain that comes with the incision, and just like a million things. And then, staying in the hospital for 3 days just felt like a blur. And going home and dealing with, the first night home, which you can ask my mom, was insane.
Terrifying for everybody.
She laughs about it, but yeah, it was really scary because my milk hadn't come in yet, and we just thought that our baby was starving because he wouldn't eat. So, a lot of these things are just normal challenges, the birth, the C-section, everything, but it just makes it so much worse when you have that postpartum depression or anxiety, and they kind of go back and forth to make the other thing harder, if that makes sense. So, childbirth is hard enough on its own, and then you add anxiety to it, and then anxiety is hard enough on its own, and then you add all these traumatic physical, emotional, mental experiences to it, and it just spins out of control. Like I said, it's just crazy. I went through a lot of hard things after he was born, especially in those first 2 weeks. I had an allergic reaction with my incision. I ended up what we think was, I think I got mastitis, and so I had this really, really bad fever the night of the presidential election. I'll just always remember that.
It was horrific for so many reasons.
Yeah, I really honestly thought I was going to die that night because my fever just kept going up and nothing was helping. And I thought I was going to have to stop breastfeeding Finn. And I was freaking out thinking, oh no, we can't afford formula. What am I going to do? I'm a failure.
Well, and that's what anxiety does to you, right? Like it takes, I think a lot of us do that. We take this situation and we think of the worst possible thing, and then we think of all the worst things instead of, okay, this actually is not all going to happen at once, and you have to take it one step at a time, but then the anxiety compounds upon that.
Yeah.
And you literally
it's a
can't
slippery
even
slope.
Yeah, you can't talk yourself out of it like somebody without anxiety probably could. You're kind of just this spinning vortex of like, you can't, like, you can't even, like, I don't know, what was it like? Like, you can't even see reality anymore for what it is?
You kind of feel like a whole different person. You know that you're not yourself. You know that what you're thinking is irrational and illogical. You know that there's people there to help you, but you just feel like you can't escape those feelings. You feel like it's the end of the world. Like, literally, you feel like that. My anxiety after Finn was born reached its peak the night that I didn't get any sleep at all. And I was hungry and nauseated, had no appetite though, and I hadn't slept all night. I wanted to close my eyes so bad, but I couldn't because, Finn was awake. For some reason, I had thought that I had to stay up with him and he couldn't take a bottle of formula because that would make me a failure, which, let me just say right now, no, it doesn't. And, Mason was just insisting that I let him help, and I just wouldn't. And that was on me because I was so tired. And Finn, every time I laid him down, he would start, licking at his fingers and sucking on them. And I just, that was a scary part for me because I would lay him down in his bed. And when he didn't stay asleep and he started acting hungry again, and I'd be like, no, why? I need to sleep. And I didn't understand, and I got to a point where I was scared of my own baby. And that's a horrible feeling. You came over that next morning and ended up going with Mason, my husband, to take Finn to get his circumcision done. And I stayed home with Mom, who also came over, and I went to the other room to take a nap, to finally sleep, and I just remember laying there thinking, I need to fall asleep so that I can escape this for a little while. And I close my eyes, and next thing I know, I wake up and I hear the baby crying in the living room, and I just was terrified, thinking I couldn't take care of him. And I knew that my feelings weren't normal. And I couldn't stop crying, and I was still feeling so nauseated and hungry, and all of these things combined were just making it so miserable. I thought I was just so overwhelmed. It got to a point where I thought I couldn't take care of him anymore. I remember thinking through my mind, what am I going to do? Who's going to adopt my baby? Like, I was thinking these insane thoughts. Luckily, I'm not one of the people that, ever had thoughts of hurting him or myself, which I know that people do, and those feelings are real, but also not real. You're not yourself. Mm-hmm. And everybody knew that I wasn't myself. And I knew I needed to get back on my medication because I didn't know what else to do. And I thought it would be a couple weeks before it kicked in, but by some miracle the next day I felt better. And it was still hard. There were still good days and bad days, but I slowly went back to my normal self.
That was a lot. I think that was probably one of the hardest things I've had to see as a sister, like, because I've had 3 babies, and I've had weird issues, like, nothing, I didn't have to have C-section, it wasn't anything super traumatic like that, just high blood pressure, gestational diabetes, like, nothing super out of the norm, and so I would say my experiences were pretty normal with childbirth, and I probably had a little bit of baby blues, but never to that level, and I know that it was, like, really scary for us because we didn't know how to help you. And like, I think Mom and I were both at a point where we're like, we'll take the baby for a little while if we have to, or like, we knew that you were going to get better, but it was like, it's one thing to hear about people dealing with this. It was another to witness it firsthand and realize how terrifying it must be for the person going through it. If it was that scary for us from the outside looking in, or like being that close to it. And it just made me have so much more compassion on women who tell me they've had postpartum depression or anxiety, because I get anxious. Like, I think our whole family has a little stream of anxiety in it, but I can't imagine being where you were in your mind space of that. Like, I remember having my first baby and he was so colicky and I just really thought my life was over. I thought I would never sleep again. I thought, oh my gosh, why does anybody have children? And so you were so blessed that Finn was like an insanely good baby. I can't imagine how much worse it would have been for all that, for the hunger issue was fine and we figured that out. But I don't know, that was definitely eye-opening for me. And this is why I want to share it, because I think there's going to be a mom who, even if she hears this now and hasn't experienced it, when she does, if she does, like, she's going to be able to reference back and know, okay, my thoughts are real, but they're not normal. Like, they're not, I don't want to make them sound like not normal, but they're not normal. Like, that's not how everybody is feeling at that point. So if you're in a situation like that, it's okay to seek help and to seek something extra, because I think there's too many moms who let it go unchecked and they feel like, but they'll think I'm a terrible mom. Like, you were afraid and we made you open up to us. You didn't really want to share those thoughts of like having resentment towards Finn a little bit, like that. It wasn't that you wanted to hurt him. It was just like, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not going to be able to be a good mom. And it's important that we are so open about that stuff, because if people aren't able to share, imagine harboring that for longer than you did, or not asking for help and getting a solution to the problem.
Yeah, I know we think we have to do everything. And, if we have any struggles at all, then that makes us a failure. Mm-hmm. 'Cause breastfeeding is so hard. All these things are just so hard. Mm-hmm. I just remember that night that I didn't get any sleep, when the sun came up, I was just crying out, praying for some sort of relief, and I just know that the exhaustion, the hunger, all these things just made it so much worse. That is what sent me to that point. And if I had just accepted the help and let Mason give him a bottle, I would have been able to fall asleep and everything would have been fine. Mm-hmm. We actually developed a system after that made it so I got plenty of sleep, and so did Mason, and everything was fine. Mm-hmm. It's just so scary. And, if I knew that somebody was going through what I went through right now, I would just run over to their house and give them a hug and tell them it was going to be okay, because you don't think it's going to be okay. You don't see how you can get past it. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking, how can I raise this baby and take care of him until he's 18? Like, that is what I was thinking of, was the next 18 years instead of just that day. Mm-hmm. One thing I did want to say while I'm here on the podcast is kind of about medication. Because I know that, postpartum depression is becoming more widely known about and understood, and anxiety is, right there behind it. And a lot of people think of medication as like this last resort or giving up, like, oh, I tried eating healthier, I tried exercising, I tried meditation, it didn't work for me, so I guess I'm just sucky and I have to take medication. So that's, I'm a failure, but it's not like that. Some people need it and some people don't. It's fine either way. Just because you have to have that medication doesn't mean you weren't strong enough, to cope. It's just, if there is an imbalance in your brain and you need something to help you level out, then that's what you have to do. And it will make your life so much better if you figure out what is going to help you. Because if I just tried to push through and didn't get back on that medication, who knows how much longer things would have been difficult, just all those things mixed together, the hormones, the everything. It was just crazy.
Well, you touch on a good point that I feel like even myself, that we all, I think, do, is we think of it as a last resort, and we think that it is a sign of weakness if we have to be on a pill, but it's actually a sign of strength that we're willing to take care of ourselves to a point where we can no longer lean on that as a crutch. Like, you could have stayed there in that situation and just been like, oh, no, medication's not for me. I'm better than that. I'm more than that. And you actually would have been doing your baby, yourself, a huge disservice. And you would have missed out on so much time, like you said. Like, you could still be going back and forth with all of those struggles. And it's not even with depression, anxiety. It's with anything. Like, I mean, there's so many varying levels of this, but I even might find myself guilty of this. Like, I have every reason to be happy in my life right now, but yeah, I'm really short-tempered. And, like, I think I need something to kind of level me out a little bit. But then my next thought is like, but I don't need pills. Like, I just need to work on this. I just need to be better with this. And, it doesn't hurt to at least go find out and go ask and do some research and find out if you do need a little bit of help, because especially I think it's genetic for us,
Right.
It's definitely in our history. Bipolar disorder, anxiety, it's definitely there. And so for me to think, or for you to think, oh, I'm above that, or to be offended when somebody suggests that, is actually hurting ourselves even more, because it's available. So
yeah, and it's adding to that stigma that, people with these mental disorders are weak or crazy, or, there's something wrong with them, when it's just like any other illness. You can't just snap out of it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes there are days when I have the normal anxiety that any person has, just worries and stuff, but it's different than that. It's something that, as much as you want to, you can't make it go away. It really is an illness that you have to treat.
Yeah. So knowing all of this, knowing your backstory, and something that you still kind of have to deal with and take care of yourself with, I really wanted to do this episode to really shout your praises, because I don't think I do that enough. I don't think you know how proud I am of you, and how it's blown me away to see you go after your dream, put yourself out there with the Kickstarter. I mean, it's not like you asked anybody's permission or said, hey, I'm going to do this. Will you support me in it? You just did it anyway. Like, you put it out there fearlessly. You've promoted it. Like, you've been doing live videos, things that are serious tools for success you've been doing. And, like, there's nothing that can make me more proud or excited to see you, first of all, become a mom and be an amazing mom, but then also be willing to chase a dream, because I don't feel like enough of us do that. So I hope you know how proud I am of you and how much I love you.
Thanks, Kirsten. I love you too. I knew that as much as I hate putting myself out there, and I get so nervous and worried, that I'm going to annoy people or I'm not going to succeed, any of those things, it's way better than wondering what would have happened if I never tried.
Yeah, exactly. And how many people listening to this might be in that same situation where they're like, oh, I've always wanted to try this. I mean, our other sister, Desi, was just talking to me yesterday about a dream that she has for a business. And I was like, just do it. Like, just start making lists, start taking notes, figure out what you can do to get it going, because you're so young, and you are too, Ashlee. Like, there's so much potential and there's so much time to make these things happen, just because they won't happen overnight. And I love when I asked you, I was like, so why are you doing the Kickstarter? Why do you want to make an album? It wasn't like, oh, because I want to be famous or I want to be rich. It was making you music makes you happy, and you want to share that with people, and seeing them enjoy your music is the biggest reward of all time.
Yeah. It's part of who I am, for sure.
Yeah. And you're very, very talented with it. I remember, like,
thank you.
the time you made your first album, listening to it and being like, wait, she could sing all this time? Like, I mean, I knew you weren't tone deaf or anything, but I mean, you said this on your live video the other day. I was kind of like my title as the singer, and you were very good with music and like a good musician, but it was like really nice to hear. And I feel like you've gotten even better over time. When you sang on live video the other day, I was like, what?
Oh,
So
I really appreciate it coming from you.
Oh gosh.
You definitely are one of the things that has encouraged me and made me brave enough to do the things I do.
Good. Well, that makes me happy. Not for like from a pride stance, but just I'm glad it's working, because everybody, I don't know if anybody knows this, and I said this in the beginning, my biggest dream would be like for all of the members of my family to just like follow suit and follow their dreams and passions, and for us to all just be super successful together, because that's more gratifying than my own success, is watching other people figure that out, what they're capable of. So
Oh, yeah.
you're going to keep continuing to figure that out and realize how powerful you truly are. And you're going to overcome the anxiety with the help of the medication in so many different ways. The more you put yourself out there and that you kind of overcome fear, the less scary things become. And then you're like, what? Why was I ever afraid of this? This is no big deal.
Nothing can stop me.
Exactly. Okay, so I think it'd be fun if we, in the show notes, since you'll probably be the one editing this,
Oh, gosh.
give people a link to like a free download of your songs or something like that, like one of your songs. And then go support Ashlee's Kickstarter. So if they're just listening, what is the website address they can go to?
So the actual link is pretty long, and so I used one of the domains that I own to redirect to it,
Okay.
so it'd be easier. It's ashinthesky.com.
Perfect. ASHinthesky.com.
Yep.
I don't know why I had to spell Ash, but
It's
that's
okay.
what it is.
That is. Yes, it is.
So if you are a closet dreamer and you haven't decided to follow your own dreams yet and you want to support somebody else's, or if you just love Ashlee as much as I do after hearing this, please go donate to her Kickstarter. She's totally going to hit her goal, and I want all of you guys listening to be one of the first to get her album when it's done, because I've already heard one of the songs, and it's phenomenal. And her songs mean something. They're very creative. Like, she's an amazing songwriter, an amazing lyricist, and being able to sing them is just kind of an added bonus. So
Thanks.
I
And
mean
if
it.
anyone listening to this needs somebody to talk to, I am here.
Yeah, you can email me, marvelousmomsclub@gmail.com, and she actually sees all my emails. She's really cool like that. So if you need to talk about it, she's there. And you guys
No
can,
judgment.
yeah, none, especially from either one of us. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because now we've gone through it, and there's just no room for judgment there. So
Yeah.
thanks for being brave to share your story, Ashlee. I know it's not easy to be super vulnerable, but I think you'll have some amazing reward for that. You're going to find out weeks or months or years down the line that you've helped people, and that's the best in the entire world.
Yeah. I knew I needed to share it. I knew that it's important, so this was just perfect that you had the platform for me to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thanks.
you're welcome. I love you so much.
Love you too.
Okay, what makes you a marvelous mom? I almost forgot.
Oh, yeah, I've been thinking about that question. I think what makes me a marvelous mom is that despite everything I went through, I still put my son first. You know, as women, we make it through the hardest things for our children, and we do anything for them. So, I mean, pretty much what makes everybody a marvelous mom is what makes me one too, that I would do anything for him.
I love it. And it's true. She totally would. I see her with him, and I would do anything for him. We have to make sure we have a picture of him in the show notes because he's so cute.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
Oh, thanks. I agree.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.